EC General Meeting 2025. It's the open session Building a Smarter Future. I am Yazan, the Digital Transformation Lead at IEC, and I will be your AMC for this session. Today, building a smarter future, it's an ambition, it's a goal. But to reach our final destination, digital standard and smart is the spark that it can lead us towards this transformational journey. During the preparation of this session, with the collaboration and the great support of Bureau of India Standard, we built this session to bridge the gap between the beautiful minds of IEC community and the pioneering innovators from the industry and the market. So be with us in this journey. I hope that you will enjoy and you get lots of information from our amazing speakers and panelists. And to start, I would like to invite Mr. Shandon Bahal, the Deputy Director General of Bureau of India Standards, to address the audience.
Thank you, Yazan. Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of Bureau of Indian Standards, I warmly welcome you to this open session on building a smarter future. And as Yazan said, we are very happy to have a very healthy mix of experts from IEC, different national committees, industry professionals, and academics. Your presence reflects the importance of what we are going to discuss in this session. Of course, we live in times when technologies are advancing faster than ever. Artificial intelligence, digital twin, smart grids, connected devices, these are no longer imaginary ideas. These are part of our daily lives today and are rapidly shaping the future of the industry. But with this transformation comes a key question. How can we make these technologies easier to adopt, safer to use, and more beneficial for everyone? And as usual, standards come in, and smarter standards have a major role here. When I say smart, if some of you do not know, it means that standards in future will be both in the form of human readable format and machine readable format. Standards that are not just text in a book or a PDF document, but a digital tool that can be embedded directly into products, systems, and workflows. So they offer a new way of delivering standards to stakeholders that will be faster, more interactive, and more useful. Standards, as we already know, they always give us a common language. They help us ensure safety, trust, interoperability. But today, a new dimension has been added, that is the digital world that we are living in. And therefore, the conventional standards are not enough. We need to do something more with it. We need to leverage the digital technologies that are available to us. How easy would it be that if on a click of a button, I can know what are the requirements in a standard when I need to implement it? What are the test methods that I need to employ to test the product that is in front of me? And that is what one of the use cases of smart standards that we are talking about. Not only this, a smart standard can be connected directly to a system, enabling real-time data exchange. A smart standard can be integrated into workflows, making compliances faster, easier, and smart standards can help industries cut costs, innovate faster, and scale more easily. That is what, as Yazan said, is the ambition that we all have in our national committees and ISO and IEC collectively. And this is a shift that this combined ISO-IEC initiative is so important. They are not just about replacing the standards as we know them. We will continue to have the standards the way we have them. But it is about transforming how standards are now created, how they are delivered, and how they are used. So that is what this SMART initiative is all about. And it is equally important for us as a country in India. All of you know we are on a fast pace of progress, be it renewable energy, be it our infrastructure, be it e-mobility, be it our digital transformation, smart manufacturing, etc. We are there and progressing very fast. And therefore, it is also important for us as India that we not only have standards, but we have standards that are of high quality, which are easier to use and easy to integrate, and more importantly, they are future ready. And that is why, on behalf of BIS, I can commit that we are very committed to working with IEC and other national committees worldwide to make sure that our industries can adopt smart technologies smoothly and safely. Coming to today's session, you have gone through, we have built this workshop around very pertinent questions. And let me share them with you because they also explain why all of us are here. Questions like, how can emerging technologies and digital transformation drive growth across industries? A question like, how can we embed smarter standards at the heart of industry so that technologies are applied safely and easily? How can organizations embrace smart products and services to make their operations future ready? And finally, how can we motivate experts from industry to connect with our technical committees and international technical committees and contribute to shaping the standards? So these are not simple questions, these are very pertinent questions, but they are exactly the ones that we must face together if we are serious about building a smarter and more sustainable future. So as we begin today's session, I invite you to participate, listen carefully, to share openly, and to think that how these ideas can apply to your own national committees and your area of work, and how collectively we can contribute to making this smart initiative a success. Together, let us explore how smarter standards can help us become more efficient, more sustainable, more inclusive, and more resilient. Thank you all for being here, and I wish this workshop a great success. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shannon. I think you have raised some critical questions, and what we're trying to do is addressing some of these questions. I would like to invite Mr. James Matthews, the President-elect of IEC, to share with us the vision of IEC globally and how international digital standard can support the transformation. Mr. Matthews?
Thank you, Yazan, and thank you, everybody. It's been an exciting week all through the time, and we're all very happy to be here. I'm looking forward to seeing some of the presentations that follow and some of the discussions, because it's a good panel you put together, and let's go forward. I have press the button. Okay. So as we talk about digitalization, that's a very broad topic, and we're talking about changing our processes and our products. But I think one of the things we have to keep in mind is that really, as engineers, we're solving problems. We think the technology is cool, but we're a group that has to work together and embrace change. We're going to be doing things differently a few years from now. Next year, as we go forward, our processes, our products, all of these things are going to change. And that's going to be harder for some, but we have to do this together. So looking at that, let's separate out a couple of things. First is the process, how we make our standards. When we look at what we've evolved from in the past, books were written by scribes by hand. You wanted to produce something, you had to then, if you wanted to print it, begin to set the typeface in place with little bits of words and letters. And then we went to typing these things. We did paper standards, paper documents for the meetings. You would come to one of these meetings, get a stack this big of things to read the day before you started the meeting. But finally, we got to the computer and got everything into Microsoft Word and began to be able to share those documents with email and other things around us. So in the background, we've also gone, thanks to COVID, from in-person to virtual meetings. We have collaboration tools, and that allows us to do things, and we have more to come in doing active development in a shared mode. One of the things that is probably going to be most profound on us is the OSD, the Online Standards Development Tool, because a Word document doesn't get us where we need to be. Now, this gives us a very, very important opening in the door. OSD alone, as it is not part of SMART, but it becomes really the big foundation that's needed for getting to SMART. We have individuals editing with AI support. So all these things let us broaden our participation, converge consensus, maybe we can get there a little bit faster since everyone tells us to go faster, and provide the digital foundation that we need in order to have a smart future. So once we have that foundation, how do we get there? Well, now let's talk about our products. Our products, we sell PDFs. That's what we do. And that's going to change. And that's going to be a very big change for all of us. So our SMART initiative is a new way of working. We have managed to work jointly with ISO and accomplish what we hope is going to be very big things. You heard Scott's presentation in the earlier session. This will take us to a new business model. What we sell and how we sell it to people. Again, there was a caution to think about, we're not selling a product that will deliver to you a PDF. We're selling wisps and pieces of digital information that will go into other products and will become part of the tools that our experts and societies use. We're looking at a shared investment by the IEC and our countries and their bodies. We're already looking forward to the white label app and the developer portal to unlocking some of this potential, but there's more to come. You heard our young professionals, they've got good ideas on how we're going to get there. And the overall migration from product to service. We're going to be selling subscriptions, not PDFs, as we go forward. So be thinking in your mind as we look at all of these exciting things, we are going to have to adapt to the change and understand what's happening there. But we get a lot of benefits from this. It broadens awareness of our work. People will know what we do and how it affects their lives. It'll give much better access to our stakeholders. It'll be integration of our product into people's user processes. Folks at the end user level will get access to a lot of our information. AI will help people find the things they need and the things they want to know. And I think we can't underestimate the last one here, trust of that information. The ability not just to put something into a search engine or an AI chatbot, but to really be sure that you can trust the information you get will be safe, will be secure, and will be accurate. So that trust is a very important key of what we do. So our next challenges include things like, beyond this, integrating fully the conformity assessment activity into the SMART process, addition of capabilities for collaboration, feedback on products, future business model foundation, and as you saw from our young professionals, they're fulfilling their imagination, the ability to come to where the future is, because they're the ones that are going to be inheriting this and using these tools. So, our SMART journey together really begins now. Are we ready to go? Are you ready to join us for this journey? This is going to be an important trip, and we all have to do it together. We can't, as Scott pointed out, have some going forward and some going backwards, or some turning one way or turning the other. But we have to do this. And I will urge you to think about, as we said, this is an exercise of change. So two sayings come to mind. One is, change brings danger and opportunity. Our job is to work together to minimize the danger, anticipate the risks, and understand where we can be threatened by what we're trying to do and work to overcome it, but maximize the opportunity. We want to make sure we take advantage of all the opportunities that this new challenge brings us. And as the other one, as you heard earlier, if you want to go faster, go alone. But if you want to go further, go together. So as President-elect, this is really a call to action. I want to make sure that we are all there. It's a call to embrace the change together, a call to harness the collective intelligence of our global community, a call to shape standards that reflect the realities of today and anticipate the needs of tomorrow, and above all, a call to reaffirm our shared commitment to a better world, one that's more efficient, more secure, and more sustainable for all. So let's make today's discussions work. Let's challenge assumptions, share ideas, spark new collaborations, because the smart future that we envision isn't just possible, but we already started to build it right here by all of us here in this room, and we want everybody to be an active part in it. And thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. J. I think you have raised some of the very important challenges, digital world and digital coming with its challenges, and how we can have this opportunity and capture it when it comes, how we use our standards as an industry to increase efficiency. In this regard, to address one of the key aspects of the change of the smart standards, I am inviting Catherine Fraga, our Director of Memberships and Affiliates and Capacity Building at IEC, to tell us how we can leverage smart standards and digital to have a growth, a business growth for the NC and industry. Please.
Good afternoon, and thank you very much, Yazan. I don't think it's me who's going to be telling you that. I'm going to have my panelists who will be joining the panel here with me to explain and answer the questions Yazan's just given of how we can leverage smart content to really bring benefits, not just to members, but also to end users. So joining me here on the stage today, I have Adam Stingemore. Adam, would you like to come? Adam is responsible for leading Standards Australia's strategic development through expanding partnerships, partnering and building Standards Australia's commercial offerings across a broad range of areas, nationally and internationally. With a legal background, Adam held a variety of roles prior to joining Standards Australia in both small and large businesses. We also have joining us Manikandan K, a standards development professional. Please come up. With over 19 years of experience in standards development, conformity assessment and testing activities at the Bureau of Indian Standards. Manikandan is currently heading BIS's IT Services Department and leading its digital transformation initiatives. Next up, Shivani Sharma. Please join me on the stage. Shivani is a globally distinguished leader. She has more than 19 years, actually, of experience in advanced power system analysis and engineering methodologies for grid modernization, smart grid technologies, renewable energy integration, and EV infrastructure. Among others, she was awarded the Economic Times Energy Women of the Year. Deserves a mention. And she is technology expert to India's Ministry of Power for Digitalization Strategy. Thank you for joining us. And last but definitely not least, we have with us a well-known face, Thomas Korsell, Managing Director at SEK, the Swedish National Committee of the IEC, also a member of the IEC Standardization Management Board. And Thomas has led the Swedish standards in the digital transformation and has been very instrumental in the smart initiatives. So you can see I'm not the one to answer the questions that Yazan provided. I really have an excellent panel here with me today who is going to be helping us go through this. But let's get started. I mean, one of the first things that I always hear when I first talk to people about smart is, well, what is it? What is smart? So I'd like to, in a very quick way, I mean, you each have less than a minute here. Answer to me now. Tell the team around the table, what is smart? Let's start with you, Adam.
Thank you, Catherine. I think for the people in this room, smart is one of the enablers of our future business model. But it is not an enabler of the future business models of our customers. They don't care. So my internal answer to the standards people is that it's really important for us to help us change our business model. On the outside, to our customers, we're just helping them to solve their problems.
Thank you very much. Manikandan, how do you see it? What's smart?
It's a tricky question. For example, if I'm giving an arithmetic problem to a 3-year-old kid, I'm asking how much is 16 plus 17, and if the kid answers it correctly, we call him her smart. If I ask you the same question, and you answer it correctly, I may not be calling you smart. So many times it depends on the context, and it depends on many other things. In the context of standards, smart should be a complete digital version of a standard, where the standard is decomposed into information units with added semantics and contextual information. I would take it that way. Is it good?
Great, thank you. It's really interesting, isn't it? Because we have very, very different answers when we ask this question. And it gets more difficult as I go down the line, I'm sure. But let's come to you, Shivani. How would you say, what is smart?
Thank you, Catherine. I think smart is an art, and it totally depends on the kind of application that you're talking of. It's not simply digital, it is digitalization. It is complete intelligence, So I would call it as intelligence as a service, and it's a foundation, it's a must element for all of us to have a resilient, a flexible, and a sustainable future. How do we use it, the depth, how carefully, what happens with the system, that is the onus of our stakeholders. How do we extract the maximum out of it? But I think two important elements here is, one is the situational awareness, what's the application that you're talking about, and second is the operational confidence. Once you have all the digital things in place, but still how do you navigate it further and make it future proof is something which is very interesting.
Thank you very much. So a lot about the context that it's in, and also about the benefits that we can get out of it in terms of how we're defining it here. Thomas, how are you going to define it?
Thank you, Catherine. I will make it simple for you. I need 2 seconds. Is the future. It's simple as that. If we're not in it, we're out. So I see the smart as building the future of all standardization. So jump on.
Thank you, Thomas. So you jumped straight in. I see Manikan who wants to already react. Come on, Manikan.
Just for the information of the audience, how difficult it is to define smart. There is a joint project team, JPT3 under IECTC1, which has been given task of defining high-level concepts like what is smart, what is digital, what is system. After 3-4 years of continuous effort, now the definition of smart is at CDV stage. So it's taking more than 3-4 years to define what is smart.
Thank you for that beauty. I mean, that just ties in very nicely with what Jim Matthews was just saying, right, about how we're going to have to pick up the pace. And that just goes to show there's a lot to be done. I'm interested to move a little bit into the benefits of SMART and have a discussion around that now, not just for members, but also for end users. Let's have a chat on that. Adam, during the General Assembly, I mean, we heard during the meeting about the benefits of SMART. We heard a lot about end users, customers, regulators. Could you give a concrete example that you've seen of an end user benefit of SMART that has surprised you?
That has surprised me.
I don't make it easy.
No, okay. I'm never surprised by standards, Catherine. I'll give you an example, and then I'll give you a few different contexts. So, we worked in Australia with a startup that was ultimately bought out by private equity, looking at how you could take a maintenance standard and put it into a workflow app. And the hardest part of the entire process was negotiating legal terms with this company. We were not an easy organisation to deal with, right, in negotiating terms for them to use our stuff. The surprising bit is the application of that workflow. So you could be maintaining a fire system in Australia, or you could be, who's enjoyed the food this week? You could be helping the people out the back who've been delivering us all these beautiful curries with their maintenance systems with an identical or almost identical workflow. And I think the surprising thing is for us, if we relax a little bit as a community and we sort of open ourselves up to the way that the product development world works outside, a lot of this problem might start to solve itself.
Oh, that's very interesting. Yeah, let's. You wanted to come in, Manikan? No. Let's move along. I wanted to hear from Shivani as well, on more or less the same question. I mean, you're coming from domains that are moving very rapidly. And there's a lot of expectations in your domain, but also a lot of opportunities. Can you tell us concretely how digital standards, how smart standards is going to help your industry?
Sure. And while he was saying the definition of smart money, I was just reminded that today, the first half, we did have a deep dive workshop on the digitalization of the India energy stack, the Ministry of Power initiative that was being mentioned. So for all of those who belong to India, all of us have a unique ID, which is the Aadhaar card, right? And similarly, we are talking about all the assets in the energy sector. So as in the India energy stack, so what is that kind of quantum we'll try to capture and so on. So today I think fortunately or unfortunately, we stand at a place where the conventional power value chains, the conventional systems are no longer true. The technologies are changing so rapidly that we have to keep pace with it, in fact ahead of it and for future generations to come. And when I say this, the digital smart standards, they are very, very essential, of course, for every stakeholder in the complete ecosystem, but more for those who are dealing with complex systems daily, as in, it is not about being a simple PDF document and something which you can interact with, but multiple times. How do you combine that deep tech expertise, the domain expertise, along with intelligence as a service? It has become very, very important. So say there's some engineer sitting in a corner working for multiple projects across different countries, different grid codes and so on. How do you pull out those different standards? There's a standard for voltage, there's a standard for digital substations, a different IEC. You're talking of so many renewables, green hydrogen, e-mobility, you name the technology, and every 2-3 years there's a complete revamp of the system, right? So what are those different grid codes? One is the localization part of it, and second is the ease of implementation. So these same standards, can they generate those kind of interfaces, interoperability, which in a different software, it might be an enterprise, it might be something used for a simulation, a SCADA control system, energy management, vegetation manager, right of way, multiple applications. So is there that standard extract, which in the starting session, the trust was mentioned, which was such a beautiful factor. We are overwhelmed with information all across the Google gurus, the Google teachers around, but what is that authentic trust factor? The standards which are mandatory have to be flagged, and the kind of facilities that are there, the standard development, the conversion into XMLs, that practically different softwares will be able to use out of these standards. I think it's going to make our life very easy in terms of spending less time in searching the documents, but spending more of our brains into what is that deep domain expertise and what needs to be done to have a quicker resolution as well as one which is more accurate.
That's fantastic. Thanks for sharing that. I heard make my life easier, make it quicker, make it more accurate. There are really core takeaways, I think, in terms of industry needs from digital standards. So thanks very much for that. Maybe Manikandan, you can tell us, as we move forward with digital transformation, maybe you can share an example of an emerging user need that you've seen here in India specifically. Have you got any examples?
Yeah, I can. It's not only India, it's globally. There are many application potential scenarios that can emerge with the smart standards. As rightly pointed by Shivani, the system integrators, they need their specific information. As a manufacturer, I will require what are the requirements, what are the compliance requirements from a standard. And as a laboratory, probably I need to know what is the requirement as well as what are the test methods I need to follow. From the whatever I could observe from IEC Smart Label, and even we did a pilot in India. You might have seen it in the digital booth. With that very basic step of cleaning the document and bringing basic XML structure, we could tag many elements, and based on which we can get structured data. So, we can extract different types of element from the standard. So all these provide a lot of new scenarios and application. For example, if all these stakeholders can definitely get their own specific data and information. In addition, it can also lead to a lot of innovation in the sense of for an app developer. If they want to create some innovative application, they can simply pull the content from the information units from the standard through some APIs. Maybe they can create some safety checklist for end user, consumers, or safety checklist or security checklist based on the basic requirements in the standards. So I would say the innovation is only limited by our imaginations.
Well, that's a very big statement to end with, and I do think it's something that we have to aspire to, is just to carry on innovating as much as possible with smart, especially when we hear the examples that you're bringing from your experiences. Thomas, I had a question earlier this week. I was on a panel with the young professionals, and one of the young professionals said, "What's in it for me coming to IEC?" And I'd like to take that question and apply it here with you now. What's the benefit of SMART for IEC members? What's in it for IEC members?
Yeah, it's a great opportunity. If I summarize it, we have only possibilities, but of course it's a journey of transformation. The conventional way of working disappearing more and more. We're going from products, PDF, papers, bags, into the digital era. So it's not only that we need to use new tools, we need also to transform mentally. We have new duties, we have new processes, we need to come much closer to our customers to understand their needs. We can't just send a PDF and hope for the best, so to say. We really need to sell services in the future. So I only see opportunities with this.
Thanks, Thomas. I don't know, Shivani, if you have any reaction to what Thomas just talked about there, seeing opportunities, needing to be closer to the customers. What's your impression about that?
No, absolutely. I'm totally in sync with him. And while he was saying this, I was just reminded of cases where we have actual use cases, customers, for example, who might have multiple refineries, multiple renewable plants. And then they wish to see that, how do the systems talk to each other? So there shouldn't happen that there's a cloud and there's no power. And there has been so much buzz in the news around with different such scenarios happening and so on, right? So when we talk of smart and using it very smartly, I think along with text, it is more about the context. And when we say context, it is getting the whole scenario, making it easier, yes. But also, I think all of us are overwhelmed by the information and the data that is available around us, right? With all the chat GPTs and co-pilots of the world. So in such a world which is overwhelming with information, how do we define our focused area, focused direction towards that resilient and a sustainable carbon neutral future? Is very, very important. So how do we define those attributes? How do we pick those values at the quickest possible place? And not only that, in fact, there's a display for IEC and BIS just, outside the auditorium. And it is such a beautiful display of the kind of application that is developed where, I think earlier it took a lot of brainstorming meetings among the experts and you put some point, I'll add some point to the document and so on. It's online standard development which is there. There's XMLization feature which is there. There's also a dashboard where you can get an idea of how the standards are moving, where there's a revision and so on. So instead of spending our time going through all the standards, there's a, I would say there is this quick, I shouldn't use the word cheat code, but I'll use, there's a quick fix where you can see where all the different things are cross-linked. So for example, if you're working on a system and you need to see that I've followed this IEC, but is there something else which is an obligatory one or a mandatory clause and so on? The feature is already there in the app. For those of you who have not had a chance to visit, please do go and explore. It's a beautiful feature. All that you're looking for, but I think as a consumer, very important to define your application. Very important to define what's the sensitivity that you are looking for and what are those attributes that you wish to achieve as a outcome of your exercise. That is something which is very important, Katrin.
Well, thank you very much. And one of the things, I keep hearing you saying is we need to go faster. I think everyone's been saying that throughout the whole week.
I think I'll just take 5 seconds. Being smart is also about being completely ready to have the speed and scale of all the systems that we are working into. You know, it's not a fixed set. The future is going to be tremendously changing, transforming around us, and with the speed that it's difficult to keep pace with. So the speed and scale is something which smart can only help us meet.
Thanks. So, Adam, how do we do it? How do we go faster?
I've been around this world, Catherine, for more than 15 years. And when I arrived, we said we needed to be smarter, we needed to be faster, we needed to take more risks. And I think we've made some progress. I think this next effort is going to be super challenging. So we need to be vulnerable, and we need to have a system that we trust. They're the 2 points I think that we need to be focused on. So we are going to make mistakes. We're going to mess things up. And that's okay, because that's what businesses do. We're not messing up the electrical voltage in the actual standards, right? That would be not okay. But in changing the way that we run our businesses, and they are businesses that we run here, we will make some mistakes along the way. But we need to be smart in terms of how we set ourselves up so we can learn from those mistakes and go on and really seize the opportunity. So young professionals today had some ideas, and they were brilliant ideas, but they're not new ideas in this room. We need to take it and make it real and not have endless working groups and task forces and things. We need to get on with it and get it done.
Take it and make it real. I really like that. I think we're getting some amazing statements here from this session. I mean, we've got to go quicker, we've got to go faster, we've got to help companies, and we've got to take this opportunity, in fact, that we have as a community and make it a reality. Thomas, you wanted to add?
Yeah, I fully support what you say. It's not time for waiting, and we will not do everything correct, but the importance is that we test, that we come to the market, we do understand the market, and we transform on the journey. But don't wait.
Thank you all very much. We're nearly at the end of the time. Can I just ask one last quick question to each of the panelists? I see Yazan giving me a nod. So very, very quickly, what's your one ask of IEC to make SMART reach its full potential? Who's going first? Oh, that's not a
It's a
quick
difficult question, apparently.
Maybe can you just repeat it? I couldn't hear the first
What's your one ask of IEC to make SMART reach its full potential?
Maybe I'll go first.
Please.
Just release it.
Just make it.
Shivani?
So I would, it's on similar lines, get it going. And, you know, sometimes we tend to keep on perfecting a certain solution till it's 100% sure, and then we'll get it going and so on. I think it's in a very good shape, and it's time we get it rolling, get it started, and then co-create solutions. I think today it's not about having a requirement, developing something and giving it back. It's not a transactional, I cannot find the word. Transactional process anymore. Rather, it is sort of a continuous value delivery. So I think IEC can work along all the stakeholders. We roll it out, and then we keep on getting those feedbacks to make it better and better. But I think we have reached to a certain stage, and now I see that everybody from the minister to the policy makers to the regulators are quite open, because I think all of us are evolving and maturing in the process. There's nothing 100% which is proven, and that's what is expected also. There will be disruptions, there will be improvements, and so on. So yes, that's the brief from my end.
Thank you.
If I
Go
can
ahead.
just add, I completely agree with what Shivani said. We have been discussing these aspects of SMART for quite some time, maybe more than 4 or 5 years. And the entire standards community, they are highly enthusiastic and eagerly waiting to see and use SMART. And if we are going to wait for a perfect model to come, we can keep discussing for years and years, but it's very difficult to agree something is perfect. So let's understand and agree that it's not perfect, and let's go ahead.
Thomas?
Yeah, I fully agree, but the launch of the technical part, the tools, is very important, but we also have a business model that we also need to set up. So, and it's the same message there, Catherine. We will not have it correctly or accurate from the beginning, but we have to test a little bit. So don't hesitate to launch it because we might not have a complete business model. We test, we learn, and we adjust.
Adam?
So my dear friends along here have stolen all of the things that I was thinking about saying, so I'm right down my list. So please don't think that I've been sitting here saying, gee, I just need to get this off my chest. The point that I see that we haven't spoken about is to remember that there's a world outside of the IEC and a world outside of ISO and the IEC. And as we're building our smart platforms, there will be some end customers who want to use our platforms and our technology, but there will be some who just want to license our content. And we need to be ready to work in both of those scenarios.
Thank you all so much. It's been a great panel. I think I've got just one takeaway from this is the benefits of smart are real. That's obvious. It's time to be bold and be brave, and it's time to take action. Please join me in applauding our panelists.
Well, thank you very much, Catherine and the panelists. As you said, take it, make it, release it. It's not about technology, it's about also business model processes. But it's important to think about how fast we need to go and how the industry that will improve the efficiency and unlocking the efficiencies and the automation. It's important to take the eye of the industry to make it faster but efficient to support the automation and growth of industry. After the picture, thank you very much. After the picture we have Dr. Rajiv Kumar. He's an assistant professor at Department of Electrical Engineering in Deemed University, Agra. We invite him to present us how that smart can have a smarter ecosystem and unlocking efficiency and automation. Please, Dr. Rajiv. Thank you.
So thank you very much and very good afternoon to all of you. It's my pleasure to be here today and to present the key case studies which I have developed as academicians and comes from my labs. So building a smarter future. So for me, like if we talk about the traditional systems, we have a big infrastructures, and many of the customers either they are not connected, like we can see here around 8% of the world population is not connected with the grid. They are still living in the dark, and the reliability is the another constraint. We can see in the second picture here, the darker area is representing like the reliability of the grid, like grid is available for the few hours for the many customers which are connected with the grid. So the challenge is like means why we have the grid connected, but the poor reliability, that is like there are two constraints in the power system. One is the energy fulfillment, and the another one is the matching of the demand, power demand in real time. Like if we have a sufficient amount of energy generating stations which are able to generate the energy which is required for the 24-hour, but if the peak demand is going beyond the generations at particular certain limit, a certain time, that may be the cause of power outage for particular locations, and generally utilities do this type of thing. So like here now we are going to fulfill this demand at the generation, and we have like distributed generating stations. It may be like wind power plant or the solar systems as the like close to the load end, and these are the carbon free. So now the earlier in the traditional power system, the problem was like we have the generating stations and the fluctuating is the load. But now with the integration of the renewable energy, both the things are fluctuating. we have the generation is also intermittent in nature, and load is also. So this is the now big challenge, that how we'll manage the things so that the power demand or power management can be done in the grid level. So to manage the things, either sometimes we have to do the load setting, sometimes we have to do also the generation setting, and that's not the good idea. Like, we have to think about it. Either we need to go for the reinforcement of the system, or we should go for the curtailment of the generation. Because if a business person is coming into the picture to fulfill the demand, he doesn't want to shut it down their plant for a long time, because that is the loss for him. So now we all can also see the lot of rooftop solar systems. But if we have connected the rooftop solar system, but the reliability of the grid is not, or the properly monitoring of the generation at the rooftop level, as well as the monitoring of the demand inside the building is not properly matched or twinned with the grid, that may be another cause of the curtailment of the generation. And if this curtailment can be minimized, so we can achieve the power outage levels very early as compared to the, we will go with the traditional systems. So the another load is coming, like the electrical vehicles. So most of the governments or this private sectors is also promoting come with the go green and use the electrical vehicles. But if we have not the reliable systems, or the digital technologies is not available for the communications in a smarter way for the generation as well as the load end, so that is the main cause of the power outage. So if we have the electrical vehicles, then that can be used as a source whenever the grid is grid has the not sufficient generation from the renewable or the traditional power plants. Because with the renewable, the problem is intermittent in nature, so the inertia is going to decrease again and again. So that time the electrical vehicle may play an important role. Either it's parked at the home or it's parked in the office. So that time the business model come into the picture, so that they can feed in the power to the grid whenever it's required, and they can charge it back whenever it's low cost, it's available at the low cost in the real-time flexibility. So now if we talk about we can see the vehicles to vehicles charging. Most of the electrical vehicles producer are providing these functions, either vehicle to vehicle, vehicle to grid, vehicle to load, like this type of smart systems they are. But now still we are waiting for the initiatives from the grid side, so that how can we manage our grid in a smarter way, so that we can use our waste assets in a way to increase the system reliability for most of the customers which are connected with the grid. And this is their expectations from the customer side. This is another thing, we have discussed about the interconnections, but further can we, if we have a digital system or the readable guidelines or the standards, if they are the part of the control algorithms, how they can contribute for the energy reliability. So this is the case study I have done during my PhD at IIT Mandi. So here I've considered an autonomous microgrid for the residential area. So if we have a demand side management system, so how the cost of the overall cost, I'm talking about the capital cost of the system. So in this we have considered the different types of loads which are listed here. We have the LED, we have classified the loads into 3 categories based on the residential. One is the cycle based, refrigerator is there or air conditioners are there. So their settings may be changed as per the requirement. And another one is we have the multiple lights inside the rooms. So based on the availability of the energy, they can cut it down, or as per the requirement of the customer. Sometimes they keep it on because they are not aware that they will use the power in a smarter way, they can get the more reliable for the long time, and as well as they will get the energy at low cost, means I'm talking about the per unit cost curtailment here. Now, next one is we have the refrigerator and the washing machine and water pump. Generally, we people do the washing in the early morning or in the late night whenever they come back. But now we have the smart washing machines. They can be connect with the smarter systems, and the user as per the user comfort, the user may give the input, okay, what we have a time constant at till 4 o'clock, my clothes should be washed, and it will take around 30 to 40 or 1 hour. So whenever the sun is available, that time it will run directly with the solar system. So the storage cost can be reduced in this manner. Here means the capital cost of the battery bank, which is depends on the energy requirement for the 24 hours as well as the peak. Like based on that, the energy, two ratings is there. One is we called it the ampere hour rating, and second one is the type of battery. Which type of battery, like C1, C2, C3. So the C number is giving the how much maximum power we can either take it out from the battery or feed in to charge the battery storage. That's the constraint is there. So if we make it in a smarter way, we manage the power in a smarter way, how can we? So this is the cost of the number of, now another level of thinking is like, if we go with the DC technology, because most of the loads at the generation is DC, all the sources are DC here. So if we will go with the DC systems, we can see the number of cost of the converters can be further reduced in a drastic way. Like this is a very small pilot project, but here we can see around 16,000 Indian rupees. This is not a small amount for a small house of 1 or 2 kilowatt of for the remotely areas. Here we can see based on the solar systems how the intelligent system or smart control system is managing their appliances. Different appliances are like different lights, controllable based, and the next one is the critical based, like washing machines, how they have shifted from the early time to the later on, because they need the cloth washed they want to use it next day, not the same day. So the customer give their comfort, okay, till 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, I want the clothes to be washed. So it's accordingly the control algorithm is shifting their appliances operations. So the objective, the key outcomes we get, like the small size of the PV and battery, and because of this, the capital cost is reduced. Converter and battery power losses has been reduced because of the DC technology. And the high efficiency, because the number of converters are decreasing, so the losses in the storage as well as the losses inside the battery, because this system is giving the smallest size of the battery pack is sufficient enough to supply the electricity for 24 hours for the critical loads. So in this way, if we are charging or discharging the battery less, it means the efficiency of the battery will come into the picture, and that is around 80 to 85%, means 15% we are able to save the energy losses inside the battery with the smart management and the high reliability, because here we can see in the second graph, the SOC of the battery is shown for 24 hours. Like it's showing that based on the system is automatically forecasting the state of charge of the battery to supply the next critical load based on the solar system. This is another very smart systems here. Till now I've talked about the DC technology, integration of the load and source, etc. But this is one more next level, like the occupancy, based on the occupancy level as well. Like we can see in our house, multiple appliances are continuously remain on throughout, at the different time instant. Still, if the occupant is not there, so we have marked the sensors to automate, which is extracting the information of the user available in particular room or not, and the information is fed to the control system. So based on that, that is another input we are getting, and based on the power use or energy use inside the building is significantly decreased. and the management of the different loads based on the electricity prices of the utility. It's again shifting the load from high price to the low price. And in this way, the per unit cost, we can see here the microgrid buy from the public utility or the grid around 19% lower energy because it has reduced the energy consumption inside the building. And the cost is also 5.4% at low cost, it's by the energy. The next one is the microgrid scale, sells the electricity to the grid at the high price. It's like a share market. So whenever the prices are going high, the grid is feeding to the, like the prosumer is feeding the power to the grid, and whenever the price going down, it's again managing the things. And the local source, it's all managing to keep the electricity reliable inside the house. And the battery and hybrid system is also there, like hybrid car is there, or some other, it may be the plug-in, or maybe the complete electrical. Based on that, we can, here I've considered like one electrical vehicle, so profit is around 11% over there. And the home electricity bill is reduced significantly, around 6%. So if all the components are like the same building holder is the owner of all these components, so we can see how much benefits can be for the user end. So now for the next level, like we have talked about the business model, etc. And generally we are doing, as a power engineers, we are just bothered about it. But we also have like some other requirement of the user, like the water supply, good quality. Generally in most of the cities, we have like the centralized system which is distributing the water in the different houses, or like a gas and others. So this is the smart microgrid systems. This pilot project is funded by the University Grant Commissions, Government of India. For me, like as a startup here, we have developed one smart systems for their academic buildings, and the source is managed like further how we can reduce the automation system. Here we can see the closest, if the 5 or 10 or 15% students are sitting in the class, so it will just just switch on the closest appliances of the occupants, and the remaining will be automatically switched off. And the good thing is here, we are just using the CCTV data to operate all these things. No other sensor is required, just relay is required to one of the appliances. So this is all about the another like DC systems. This is, we can see we get a lot of that globally. And if this system is at 48 volt, this is the safest for the low voltage level. And because the appliances rating is not too much high, like the power rating of the DC fan is around 20 to 25 watt only, and it's operating at the same RPM. Okay. The good thing is like here, another benefits of the DC appliances, like we can control it in a better way as compared to the AC technology-based fans or light. Okay, so these are the key smart microgrid system provides like opportunity in a simple way or flexible for integration of the RES, their intermittency issues may be sorted out, or EV integrations, and a smart system provides like the integration of with the national grid. Fast electrifications at remote areas can be done because this system can work in the grid connected as well in the isolated mode. So this is all about from my side. Thank you. These are my two books which are published by the Elsevier and the IET, and we can find out these books in most of the reputed libraries of the world, like MIT and NIT or NUS Singapore, etc.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Rajiv. Big applause. Thank you. Thank you very much. I think it's very interesting for presenting that. It's so fascinating, these use cases, and it's showing the importance of standards. Yeah. So we will be, any questions for Dr. Rajiv? I think it's kind of very clear use cases. We can invite you to stay with us, Dr. Rajiv, in here, as we will have continue our session. Now, it's fascinating use cases, and it's one of the key important. It's a proof that standards are important to ensure that system works and safe. But smart standards as well take it an extra level, is to ensure we continue safe, interoperable, global, and interconnected with multiple systems. In this regard, how the members provide the smart services to support the whole ecosystem and use cases to ensure that standards are well applied with the updates. In this regard, I'm inviting Mr. Damian Charny from the National Committee of Germany, DKE, to show us a real case how industry using smart standards in actual service. Damian?
Yeah, thank you.
Slide number, yeah.
So, yeah, thank you everybody. Today, I would like you to show a way how we can use in the future or the present beyond the white label app. The white label app is a great way to use as an end customer with a smart use case, but alternatives exist to them. For example, the white label app approach is something like the customer comes to us because we have the data. It is something similar to a library. If we want a book, we go to the library because in the library there are the books. So this is the first approach to bring smart to the customer. But the second, the alternative approach is we bring the data to the customer's home. If you like, it's something like an Amazon approach. And today I will show you how this can look like, how this can work, and yes, I hope I can bring this use case a little bit closer to you. And the key for this alternative way at the moment for us is to use the RecIF format, because the RecIF format for us is the key to the door of a customer's home or for a company's home, because the customer or the company at the moment don't understand what the smart standard is. Never heard, can't read the format, but they understand and well known what the RecIF file is because they use it in many, many other use cases before. So RecIF is for us the key to the door of a customer. And DKE and AFNOR tries exactly this out, and we published already a smart service in our market, and for this we use our national smart data. And in our pilot now, we try it out with the smart data from the IEC, and this is what I want to present to you today. So, in the past, we have the following situation. If a customer is interested in a standard, he needs to identify the requirements by himself. And he also needs to import all the identified data into the system, here in the example, the Excel file. The Excel file is waiting at the home of a customer, so he needs to do the whole job. Now with the white label solution, this customer is supported with the identification of requirements. So it's not necessary to do the whole job manually, but still the work of importing the data into the Excel file waiting at the home of a customer, this is still open. And and here's the point where we want to fit in. So now, in the present, or at least in Germany and also in France, we have now the advantage that it's not only anymore an Excel file at the home from the customer. Now he uses many complex systems. For example, IBM DOS, Siemens Polarion, Codebeamer, JAMA, and other requirements management systems or product lifecycle management systems. So the systems at the company or the customer's home are much more complex, are very powerful and very, very expensive. So the job to do the import is quite harder. And now we need something to help us. And In Germany and in France, we identify this RecIF format. This is the key. With this key, we can transform our smart data and directly import into the systems. And this is a huge benefit. Why? Because every manual effort disappears. It's a fully possibility of fully automation here in this path. And this is exactly what we want, and I think this is exactly what the customer wants, because reducing manual effort leads to, yeah, more money, more time for other things. So, this is again my key message for today. RecIF is a door opener and help us to seamlessly integrate smart standards into the application of a customer. And another very important fact is, you see it here on the slide, the standards doesn't look anymore how we know it. It's look different. It's not a PDF standard anymore, so from the look and feeling, it looks differently. And maybe also it's looked not so nice, but this is exactly what our customers in Germany did. They transform the PDF standards into something else. And they transform it in a new representation, in a new format that they need, because their workflows in the company, in the systems, in the tools required this. So not we are setting the representation, the design. No, the customer is here in the leading position. He decides how he wants the data, how he wants the format. And he doesn't care about the PDF, and he doesn't care about the human readability. He needs the data for work, for processing data, for integrational aspects. So this is the big change here, and this is actually what many customers, not all, of course, but many do already in Germany in specific industry areas. So if we do this transformation, if we transform our smart standards into something like RecIF, we have really great benefits. We have time-saving benefits, we have confidence benefits, we have also performance benefits, and my personal favorite is we have a traceability on the requirement level. At the moment, we have only traceability on the document level. But with RecIF, with Smart, we have this traceability on the requirement level, on the provision level, on the level of the smallest information piece. And this is a huge benefit for the customer. Why? Because he can decide how to work with the data. If he needs to see all the requirements, he can do it. If you only need to see a specific amount or a specific set of requirements, he can do it. So this traceability, this granularity, this is a real key of Smart and here of RecIF. So we called RecIF a smart product. Why smart product? Because it's built on the top on the smart standards, on the smart standards data. It's a little bit similar to a derived product, what we already knew. And the very specific thing here is we identify that smart products has to fulfill some very important aspects. The first is one, it should be standardized in some way. For example, we had this service already in Germany and in France, but the colleagues in France do it slightly different than we in Germany. At the moment, it's still a rising market. It's no problem. But at the end, we need a standardization here. And RecIF is a good starting point because it's a well-known standard in the industry. So we can set up and build up on that. The second very important aspect here is it should be provision-centric because our smarts are dealing with provisions, with requirements. Of course, it should be also machine readable and traceable, and it should be compatible with our smart concepts, with all of them, ideally. And surprise, RecIF fulfill all these requirements, conditions, and is a really, really good starting point as an exchange format of smart standards. And we also start in Germany. Here you can see this on the bottom with a specification to harmonize the use of RecIF for smart standards documents. It's completely free, and I hope in the future this could be a good starting point also for international standard, how to exchange smart standards information, how to bring this into such complicated and powerful tools at the customer side. So, I mentioned it before, we already published this smart service at the market in Germany and in France. So we are done? No, we are not done, because we did this with our national data, with our own smartification process. This is not the smartification process from IIC. So we need to collect all the smart pieces and to fit this together so that we can work together in a common ecosystem. And this is exactly what we tried out here in this pilot. We use the data from the IEC through the IEC Smart API, use our own smart service to generate the RecIF file, and then we go to the customer and give them access to them. And now our customers have smart data for national standards and also for international standards, and they looks identically and they works in the same way. And this is exactly what the customers want. They want unified standards also for the use of smart standards.
Yeah. Would you accept the questions?
Please.
Yes,
Please,
please. Just get. Yes, please. Just repeat. Yeah, repeat, please.
Please repeat.
Could you please explain more about how you conduct the product life cycle management?
How we connect it to the product lifecycle
Yes.
management. So, we import or export our smart data into the systems that I use for the product lifecycle management. So the customers introduce tools where they collect all the data that is necessary for a product lifecycle. And standards are a part of it. And we bring this data into the same system. And this is exactly where we can help them. And say, use specific metadata to work them. And we help them to map our metadata, our understanding of requirements, of the content description and so on, and maps this with the metadata that is already in the system. So they can really directly use this in their own system. And this is a huge benefit.
Okay.
With pleasure. So, yeah. What was the outcome of our pilot? The first, it works really good because we are aligning on the same set of principles, and this fits very, very good. And also a good result is that the customers give us really positive feedback. They want RecIF of IEC standards. That is really what they want, and so it's a really good outcome. But we can only offer them actually in a pilot, in the testing scenario, and this is not enough. It's good for a starting point, but now we need the next step. We need the licensing agreements, we need the copyright issues, and if we have that, we can use the technologies that we already had and use this in a broader field and in a real operational and productive manner. And this is exactly what the customer gives us as feedback. The second outcome is maybe not so good. I mentioned it before. The basic concepts are aligned, so it fits very good, but in detail they disappear. And this is a good example why we need standardization also for our own digital journey here. We have a decentralized system where we have distributed product development, and to ensure that this fits together, that tells the same story, we need standards that is aligned so that the customer have at the end one format and data that is compatible with each other. And this is why we need standardization here also for our own purpose. And I mentioned it earlier, I hope the DIN DKI specification from Germany is a good starting point to start with the standardization of a REC-IF as a possible smart standards output.
Hello. Here's a question. Good evening, everyone. This is Nishant from Ahmedabad. So, being a student, we all know that the standards are everywhere, from the shoe polish to the hair oil we use. So, if people are interested in knowing standards, and we should make the learning of standards mandatory to all the students, since the standards are really important. Because adding the standards into the academia will lead the future generation to pave the path for the sustainability. So how come and how we will be adding the standards into the academia?
Yeah, very easily. REC-IF is only one possible exchange format. Academia have other information exchange formats. And we need to start thinking, okay, how we can transform our smart standards data into the formats of academia. And I don't know which formats they use, but I'm so sure of it that they have one. So we need to identify them and to start transforming our data. So it's the second approach. We bring our data to the industry, to the academia, to the application field.
Thank you.
With pleasure.
If there's any question, just I want to highlight a point. If you have a question, if you don't mind, just to stand up, because it's a huge room, so we cannot know who's asking the question. Thank you very much. Please.
Okay, the last 2 points, this is our takeaways. So for me, for us in Germany, REC-IF is a real first example of a smart product that works on the market. And we really collect real market data and experience for it. And it is a good example how the work with IAC and C can look like and can work. And I already mentioned it, the technology, the systems, they are there. It's not the end of the implementation or the development, but we have a really first good state and we can use it. So let us use it. The customers are waiting. Yeah, and the second takeaway, I mentioned it already on the slide, is we need standardization for our own digital journey. This is so important, otherwise we have at the end diverging solutions, and this is not in the interest of our customers. So, with this?
Well, thank you very much.
The end of the slide.
I think it's clear that as a national committee, you have a very important role. Stay here to take some more questions.
Of course.
Yeah, Scott.
Thanks, Yazan. Thank you very much, Scott Steedman. What a great presentation. Thank you so much. That was really inspiring, very, very helpful. And to the young man over here, there's lots of solutions to bring standards into the education curricula. It's a difficult conversation. We need to talk to the senior officials in the universities, but there's a lot of content that we can provide. So thank you for that excellent question. On the question I had for you on this REC-IF, which is such a critical part of the smart journey for industry, it's a great example of a pilot in practice, is as we formalize this process you described, linking smartification to REC-IF, do you have recommendations about the quality of that process, the reliability of the transformation of the information? Because in passing that into our industry users, if they're making a simple product, that's one thing. If they're making a medical device, it's another thing. So being able to have a good understanding, a measure by which we can explain, a standard in fact, the reliability, the integrity and the quality of that process. Do you have any advice on that? Thank you.
Maybe not the advice, but we collect a lot of feedback in this field, and our customers are very happy if they receive something from us. And they said if the data is not 100%, it's okay at the moment, because we are also in the exploring phase. And if you change the classification of one single requirement, at the moment we can live with that. But what we not can live with that is, for example, if your IDs are changing. If the ID of a requirement is changing in the next version, they cannot make any more the mapping to it. So he needs to repeat all the work that he previously have done, and this is absolutely no-go for our customers. So we need to identify this field, what are very critical for our customers, and to establish first quality metrics on that.
Any other questions from the audience? I cannot see anything. Anyone? No? Well, thank you very much, Damien, for the presentation. I think it was great. I think it was a great demonstration of the real benefits of a smart. And if you take it as a full value chain, what Dr. Rajiv presented and how the services using smart and digital can be integrated to ensure consistent delivery of that services. But this is not the end of the story. And one of the key aspects and critical aspects for us is you, the industry. You need to be part of the standardization. It's not only about the use, it's about being part of building these standards. On the stage, I would invite Mr. Gilles Tounet, our Deputy Secretary General at IEC, to tell us what is the role of industry in this beautiful world of building standards. Gilles?
Yeah, thank you, Yazan, and good afternoon, everyone. I have the challenging task to moderate the last panel of the day. I know it has been a long day for many of us, but I will be here with three great panelists from the IEC community to help me on this. I would like first to call Bettina Funk from the Swedish National Committee. So Bettina is also the Swedish Standardization Management Board member, just re-elected, by the way. Congratulations. So please have a seat. Bettina has, of course, a lot of experience also in standardization activities, leading one of our committee. The second panelist I would like to call is Rajneesh Khosla from the Indian National Committee. Rajneesh, you are the secretary of the National Committee and, of course, an instrumental person to the success of this week. So thanks again to BIS. And the third panelist is Steve Margis, our vice president in charge of the Conformity Assessment Board. So welcome, Steve. So we have seen a lot of very interesting presentation so far, focusing on smart digital transformation, but in order to get there, we need content and we need substance. We need people to make IEC standards. So expertise is, of course, fundamental. And as said several times already this afternoon, industry plays an important role. Industry, academia as well. We heard there are some, academic people, students in the room, so perhaps we can elaborate on that. So in this panel, I would like to elaborate a little bit more on the role that industry plays in IEC activities. And we're very fortunate to have three different perspectives: standardization, conformity assessment, also an NC perspective from India. So if I start with you, Bettina, could you elaborate a little bit more on the role of industry, in particular, in contributing to IEC activities, and in particular when it comes to digital transformation, the role they can play and why it is instrumental to have industry on board?
Yeah, thank you, Joe. Well, first of all, industry is the one that needs the standards. So they are our main standard users. So without them, we do not know who to write the standards for. And without their participation, we don't get any standards, because they are critical in developing the standards, and also to have relevant standards, because we can, without industry, of course, we still can come up with good ideas to write standards, but they will not be relevant for producing both products and services. So industry experts are simply like the thing that we need to produce standards. And but when it comes to digital transformation, we have a little bit of there must be a need for industry to have a digital transformation. But I think that we already saw many examples like DKE presented just a minute ago, there is a real need in industry for getting digital products. So there is a need, and that means that industry is actually waiting for us to deliver the digital transformation, which is great because that also means that in the technical work, when we are developing standards, there is a demand from our experts to get on with it, like as we heard also in the panel before. So that is very clear need, a very clear demand, which is good for the development in the technical committees, because we are we are trying to adapt ourselves, also the work, how we do our work in the technical committees, to the future. And that is starting with things as basic as using OSD, but also like thinking in the future, what are the future requirements that we have with digital transformation, and which impact does that have on the standards. So there's a huge dimension to that as well. Of course, we also have the personal dimension. We're talking about experts. Experts are human beings, like you and me. And some of them are maybe early adopters, and some of them are maybe a little bit more hesitant. So we in the technical committees need to make sure that all of them find their home in the digital transformation, which is sometimes a little bit of a challenge, but can actually work quite well, especially when we have the early adopters making a good case for digital transformation. Because the more people see and get examples of why what the digital transformation is good for, the easier it is to convince others to follow along.
Thanks, Bettina. Perhaps for the benefit of the people here who are not yet involved in IEC, you may have heard OSD several times. It's the Online Standards Development Platform, which is a collaborative environment which hopefully will make the life of experts much easier and will allow us to develop standards faster. Perhaps moving on the conformity assessment side, because, well, as you know, the IEC has two pillars, standardization, conformity assessment side. Steve, could you share your perspective on the role of industry in particular and the expertise you're bringing to RCA systems?
Yeah, thank you. I guess first I'm going to start by saying the perspective we're going to get from a lot of people in the room is the creation side, because we're standards professionals, many in the room. I'm actually the user side. I play both roles, but primarily I'm on the user side. And on the user side, you kind of have to redefine industry, redefine user. When we're thinking about user, we're thinking about users as industry manufacturing. We're thinking about user as conformity assessment, interest, testing, inspection, certification bodies. We're thinking about the stakeholders, the regulators, the authorities having jurisdiction that identify and use and mandate or require standards. So when we're looking at those interests, we have to kind of look at them all in a variety of ways. Industry, from my perspective, is all of these groups that I've identified are also global users. And so because they're global users, we can't just talk about current data. A lot of the things that we're talking about are about making standards better, making them smart, looking to the future, looking at ways to automate and generate, and et cetera. In the real world applications, it takes time for these requirements to be adopted. So not only do we need this information, we need this information as it's relevant along the maturity curve of the globe. An example would be a fast-paced, fast-moving, fast adoption market will always want the most current information. Other markets are going to be 2 or 3 cycles behind. And so not only do we need this data, we need the mapping or correlation of this data so that if you're trying to have a global strategy to move your product around the world, you have to look at that whole suite of standards as they connect to each other. And smart and digital allow us the opportunity to map those things. They allow us the opportunity to create data strategies around those things, and they allow us to create a variety of solutions. But I guess I'll close by saying the other side of maturity. The other side of maturity is, I guess the phrase I would use about get this thing started is kick the ball. I heard that long ago. I had a project, and it was being worked on and worked on and worked on, and finally someone said, kick the ball. And it's very true. And In our particular case, when we're looking at the customers, the people who want the PDF, they have simple needs. Not simple as from a data architecture standpoint, simple needs. And having the ability to have the actual text of the standard in a digital format that can be used for test reports, that can be used to be connected to data loggers, to be used for those types of simple purposes, what we might think of as simple, are important. They're very relevant today, very, very relevant today. Are we going to go into digital twins? Are we going to go into simulation? Are we going to go into other technologies? Sure we are. We're going to have a maturity curve of people who want all of those things. But don't let today stand in the way of the future. If you're in the game and you don't know how many seconds there are left in extra time, and you're waiting for that to finish to release the product, you don't know if you'll ever get there. So let's get there. Let's release products that are relevant for those to get started and have relevant available sources of opportunity, and then utilize and continue to grow and release those many things.
Yeah, so kick the ball or get it released, as we heard previously. Coming to you, Rajneesh, from an Indian NC perspective, how do you see the importance of industry? And we know India has a really big IT industry in particular, especially in the context of digital transformation. How important is it? What kind of value does it bring to the IC?
Thank you for having me. I think industry is at the center stage of the digital transformation, industry and its experts. Actually, it is the industry that is basically driving the artificial intelligence, the smart manufacturing, digital twins. They are the ones who contribute to the experts for us to make standards. And when we bring about smart standards, they are the ones who have to implement it. So at every stage, they have a role, pivotal role. Without them, we have nothing. So industry and an experts, without their involvement, digital transformation cannot happen, because at the end of the day, we make standards that should be used, that are usable, and that can only be made when the industry participates in the standardization. And at the end of the day, the products that we provide, the smart standards that we provide, are used by the industry.
Yeah. No, I think that makes sense. And we heard there are also some people from universities or the academic sector. May I just ask you a follow-up question? How important is the academic sector also in India? And do you find also a lot of contribution from universities?
In Bureau of Indian Standard, which is a secretariat of the Indian National Committee of IEC, we have been engaging for the past 2-3 years very actively with the academia. We have MOU with about more than 100 academic institutes. And I think the gap that was there between the standardization body and the academia has been fulfilled by our efforts. We see a lot of pre-standardization studies coming as R&D research from the universities, from the academia. We are able to give a lot of R&D projects to them wherever we feel there is a gap in the standardization. So they are basically playing a very crucial role in our standardization drive.
Yeah, thank you. Now, well, I think we all understood the importance of industry to bring expertise to the IC. Let's think a little bit about the challenges or potential roadblocks. And I'm sure you have identified some challenges in your committee, in your CA systems, in your national committee. Bettina, could you elaborate a little bit more? Or have you identified specific challenges in your country, in your committee, that prevent those experts from industry to participating in IC activities?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of challenges actually, and mostly it is the availability of experts, and like we can summarize it under resources, I would say. An expert is a resource for the company, and to make that resource available to us in the IC, is really an investment by the company. And for that, you need to have, first of all, you need to have the time of the expert. That expert needs to have maybe a travel budget, and must be like, you have to be available in terms of that you're not needed for other projects. So it's quite an investment. And we see with a lot of industries now that our experts are getting older and older. Some of them are retiring, and there is no new expert coming in their stead. Sometimes it's because, engineers are not very good at communicating, so maybe that expert has never really told within the company what he is doing or she is doing all the time, Maybe the colleagues noticed most that person is away on business trips, but there's not really the understanding within the company what that person has actually crucially brought to standards which they are using in different parts of their company. So there is a little bit of an awareness which is maybe missing in the management. It's also up to us ourselves that we communicate what we are doing in standardization, so that the people around us understand our crucial role. Maybe we are not even aware of that ourselves. Maybe we think, well, I'm an expert and I contribute, yes, but come on, I'm just a little expert, But our role is crucial, and management needs to understand that. But maybe there's also a little bit of, we need to manage the expectations of, especially in the leadership of industries, because standardization is a long-term investment. You cannot just go to one meeting, make one statement, change the standard, and then goodbye, that's it. I've done what I wanted to, and I gained a lot. So standardization doesn't work that way. It's trust building between the experts. It's understanding the discussions that have been there before, and putting yourself on the scene to discuss, and that takes usually a lot of time before you are accepted, before your positions are understood, before you can maybe bring up new points. So, and also before yourself feel comfortable enough to go there and bring new points. So we have this mixture of, long-term investment. It is an investment. You get something from it, absolutely, but you need to understand that what you get is maybe a few years down the line. And also, what you can actually, the contribution that your experts do have a broader scope than what you actually maybe consider for just your company. And also, indirect benefits, which are rarely seen, is you are talking to other experts in the coffee breaks. You are actually getting crucial information, what maybe your competitors are doing, or how you can solve things in a better way than what your company was just thinking about, So there is so much which is going on between the meetings, in the coffee breaks, and that is not always appreciated by the management. So therefore, we see the most barriers that we see is that it's difficult to show the role of our experts in the standards, and to point in a final standard on what was the contribution of that expert and how did the company get a benefit from it. So, if we get better at that, then maybe we also have a better chance to free resources in the companies to get our experts.
I think those are really good points. Rajneesh, do you have any specific challenges or barriers in India in particular?
I think I agree with Bettina with that time and finances are the crucial things that matter, because the time is limited for the expert, and the company wants the expert to be devoting more time to the company than standardization. So sometimes that becomes a big challenge. Finance is another one, to have face-to-face meeting, though we are having more and more hybrid meetings now. But sometimes the face-to-face meeting has its advantage in developing consensus. Then when we get a new expert in a new field, sometimes the complexity of the standardization process also matters to them. It takes a little time for them to dwell upon the standardization process, and it takes about 2-3 meetings till they get a hang of it. In the first 2 meetings, they are just participating, observing how the things are going along. And the last is sometimes the lack of awareness of standard is also there, for which as the NC we have the responsibility to create awareness among the industry that standardization plays a crucial role in various things like trade, like technology, like solutions to problems, digital transformation. That's it.
Thank you. Steve, the conformity assessment systems are organized a little bit differently than our, let's say, technical committees on the standardization side, but do you experience the same challenges? Have you identified the same barriers to participation?
Yeah, I think all of those play well. So I'm going to shift a little bit in saying it's what room you're in a little bit too. I think one of the challenges we have is participation at what level. All the products and organizations we're dealing with in many cases are global. And as a result, what we've seen is with the pandemic and with the changes of less resource and time, as already was described, what we're also seeing is kind of a migration. The people that used to participate in international committees in the international front are migrating back to the national committee's merit committee. So they might still be participating, but at a merit committee. And in the merit committee, it's a closer environment, most of the time geographically, which means there's a chance they might get to those meetings, or there's a chance that because you're only in one time zone or two time zones, the ability to do virtual meetings is a little bit different landscape. So I think we're seeing a migration up from the international committees down, and we're going to have to figure out a way to deal with that and either come up with tools and technology to bring that back up, or come up with slightly different ways of working to enable that kind of distance between people. The other thing that I would say is on the front of smart and digital, when we're talking about all these people, it's competence. In most cases, in many geographies, we're talking about older workforces. And when you're talking about older workforces with new technologies, you have a situation that you have to deal with. People use tools, someone at home, a friend of my family might jump on ChatGPT or jump on OpenAI or jump on, whatever technology we're talking about and put some information in and get some information out, but they don't know what the constraints of that system are. They don't know what the reliability of that system are. They think they're in a search engine. They think they're searching facts. And so competency is key, especially because on the user side, I have one group that I didn't talk about earlier, and that's the adoption side. The authorities and regulators that are working, that kind of set and stipulate what requirements we're going to be working with, there's a pace of adoption for them. It's kind of, I always say we have to pull them along, because we might have new technologies that we've tested and tried and we believe that they're credible, but the authority or regulator, because they're seeking to protect the safety or the interest of the local community and consumers, they have to really be confident in that. So the pace that they're working at is a different pace than what we're working at. So as we release new tools, we have to keep that in mind. We might have layers, if you will, of tools, and in each geography, you might be able to use layer 2, where, in another faster moving area, maybe you could use layer 4. So all of that has to be considered in strategies and how you use the tools and how you develop your products. So I don't think we always want to shoot for the end. We have to realize that there's some people that are going to have to follow us along. So all those things together are what we're dealing with to get everyone involved.
Yeah, so I think there seems to be quite a good consensus around some of the roadblocks across all the activities, also NCs. Now, you have, you're also part of the IC management, Steve. You have part of the management here. There will be a closing session by the chair of our standardization management board as well. Would you have in mind one or two top priorities or recommendations you would give to the organization to address this problem of participation? Perhaps starting with you, Steve.
I don't know. Beyond what we've already said, I don't know about the problems of participation. I find in conformity assessment that the conformity assessment bodies are relied on heavily. The reason for that is the conformity assessment bodies are performing the work. They usually have more resources that are being applied, that are coming to the events because they have to apply those requirements. And we have a difficult time getting industry. industry many times, instead of coming to the committees and meetings, works through those Conformity assessment bodies. So large manufacturer A or large manufacturer B is doing a key account meeting with my organization. They're giving us all the information and needs that they have on the conformity assessment side and seeking or expecting that we will take those forward as a trusted partner. So while that's good, when you're in the room, you lose the identity of that, because when you're in the room, you're seen as the conformity assessment person. You're not really seen as an advocate or a representative of something more. And it changes the discussion, it changes the dialogue. So given that, I've always found that having industry actually in the meeting, not just passing that information through, is incredibly important. And so, you know, I would ask that industry seek both paths. Obviously, they'll have to all decide on their own how involved they can be, but certainly industry or their associations in some manner, having them in the physical room versus just having someone advocating for them creates a much more dynamic dialogue.
Bettina?
I think that is actually a very good point that Stephen is making here, but I think for you know, from what I see here is that it needs communication. Like, industry needs to understand why they need to be in the room, you know. And I think that this is something that maybe the IEC can get a little bit better at, is especially when it comes to the digital transformation. Why are we doing this? What's in it for me? What's in it for industry? You know, they need to be, we as IEC, we need to be capable of explaining, giving good examples, giving good use cases, so that industry identifies themselves with the communication and understands what we are, which way we are on, and wants to follow along. I mean, we discussed it. There are some that are actually dragging the wagon, but there are also some that are maybe not as you know, early adopters, and they need to understand why they should also be part of that journey. And I think, as Stephen said, you know, it's really crucial that if they want to have their original voice heard on the way, also maybe saying, raising critical points that this is too fast for us. You know, they need to be there to make that point. But to get them there is to have a good communication with them, so that they understand where we are and what is our journey. I think, so for my first point would be communication. I think we have done a lot already when it comes to saving resources, like saving travel costs, for example. We are having hybrid meetings as much as possible. The only thing that we cannot change is the shape of the Earth. We are always going to be a big ball, and we are always going to have time differences between Australia and Sweden. And that is always going to be a problem when we want to have international consensus, exactly as Stephen also said. You know, we are in some actions we see that people are getting more regional again to manage these constraints, but they won't go away, and we won't solve them with digital solutions either. So there is definitely something to do when it comes to, you know, also maybe communicating again to industry the benefits of having face-to-face meetings, of being in the same room at the same time, because being in a virtual room in different times can sometimes be not very productive. So there, but on the let's say all, I would say the IEC is already doing quite a lot of support when it comes to you know, to facilitating meetings. Maybe in the future, and that is just because we are discussing, you know, how will the future human beings look like. We will probably communicate differently. We will probably have less of a need to interact personally, because we're not really used to that anymore, because we're more getting used into digital spaces. So will maybe the IEC have to, you know, to offer different types of information or courses in the future? Is there a need to provide information on how do you develop the soft skills to have consensus? I'm not sure if that is something that is, you know, inherently taught in the future to young professionals. Here in our young professional program, definitely, but you know, we are seeing the developments in the world that it's rather that people go more into their own spaces and just connect digitally, you know. maybe that there is a different need in the future for the IIC to communicate on, or to help people find consensus, develop the soft skills that are needed in an intercultural, international organization, because we need to be very much aware of the fact that we have different cultures that come together. Yes, we are discussing technologies, which are usually quite, you could say, cultural independence, but the way how we do that is different in different cultures. So, you know, maybe the IC needs to develop more into that space as well in the future, depending on how we as humankind develop in the future.
Yeah, no, of course, an important point about communication, education, training. Rajneesh, do you concur? Any
Yeah, I
additional?
concur, and I'll just add to it, like, the main theme is to use the time of the experts, the best experts that we have, more productively. So like Bettina already said, that hybrid meetings, OSD platforms, capacity building, all of these are the ways that we can explore. But to me, sometimes what we have experienced in the Indian National Committee is that the initial draft usually takes a lot of time. So to make the time more productive for them, if we provide a pre-standardization study to the group or to the experts, I think that will reduce the time, and that will make them more productive to concentrate on developing consensus rather than doing the initial studies again. So that pre-standardization study is what I would like to add to the points of both the experts.
Yeah, thank you, and that's certainly something we are thinking of in the SMB, and I see that Vimal is nodding there. Those were really great inputs, and also very pragmatic, actionable inputs. We're coming to the end of this panel. Just to conclude, may I ask each of you to summarize kind of in 1 or 2 sentences your elevator pitch to the people here in this room, and I guess there are a number of people here who are not yet involved in IC activities, and what you would tell them, or to encourage them to get involved, to participate in the IC. Steve?
I guess I'm just going to give you my YP, for those that don't know, young professionals, elevator pitch. Be present, be prepared, have your voice heard.
Wonderful. Rajesh?
Yeah. So my pitch would be a standard maker, don't be a standard taker.
Yeah.
Well.
And I now take the opposite of direction that Stephen take, because it's actually, what do I get from it? It's rewarding. It's so rewarding. You see all of these people once a year. They are all becoming friends. You have like a person you know everywhere around the globe. This is so rewarding for you as a person, for your own development. So it's not only that you contribute to something, but you also get so much out of it.
Wonderful. So I have no doubt on Monday the Indian National Committee will get a lot of new members thanks to this panel. Round of applause for the fantastic panel.
Well, thank you very much, Jill and the panelists. It's amazing discussion. And before you're leaving, I would like to open the floor if there's any question for the panelists or for Jill. Okay, we have a few. We can start from this row, please.
Hello. Good evening, everyone. So we know that it is the era of digital transformation, as the panelist just said. And the young generation, for the young generation, the ChatGPT and the AI is a friend. So we have a lot of information in our fingertips right now. So the main question of mine is, how are we going to filter out the unwanted information? And how this platform is helping us to filter out the unwanted information and give the main information that is more importantly. Thank you.
Please, who's answering? Yeah. Tina, please.
Well, I hope that Smart will actually do that for you. But I think the best tip that you can give to somebody using AI is like a toxic friend. You know, sometimes it's helpful, sometimes it's not, and you have to understand, when it is helpful and when it is not. But that is why in the Smart system we are trying to build in a reliable, AI. And also the fact that you can always go back to the source, to the start of where the information comes from. So you can always check what AI is actually giving you as a result. And I think that is the important part, that you have a trusted, reliable source that you can always refer to.
Thank you very much, Bettina. I hope you have your answer. Okay,
Yes,
we'll have
yes,
one
I got my
answer on one question. Please. Okay, the gentleman, he's coming down. He's very eager to ask the question. Can we have here?
That must be a tough question.
Yeah.
Not a tough question, and I'm not not very keen to ask this question. My point is, simple point is, today ChatGPT is able to develop the standards, and digital twin can pre-test it. So are we not preparing a ground for the humanoids enabled or powered by AI to replace us? So that's a concern which I am sharing with the panelists, and I want that the panelists should do away my concern in whatever best possible way they can. Thank you.
I guess I'll start. While those tools of many types have an extensive amount of content and can generate a deliverable for you, I will tell you that the most important part is it a credible, trusted set of content? The data is just data until the marketplace says it's fulfilling its objective. And when it's being generated in an automated fashion, and you're not quite sure the sources of all that data, and you're not quite sure what content is qualified content, we're talking about safety in life. We're talking about performance characteristics. We're talking about cybersecurity, things where the content is critical. If the tool has an appropriate data architecture and the right controls and management in place, I think there's a chance that we get to the answer that you're saying, that the tool will be able to do that. I think in time we might get there. But I think for now, there's a lot of question about the data and the data architectures behind it and the data management behind it. And at the end of the day, it has to be credible and trustworthy. And so the bridge that we're building is to get to that, I think.
I would like to take a different approach here. I think you would be the perfect candidate to go into SC41 from JTC1, yeah, because that's exactly where, or was it 42? I don't know. That's exactly where they standardize AI, S42 exactly. And you should be there and make sure that the way that AI is standardized is actually making sure that AI is not going to replace us in the future. But is actually going to be a good helper and tool for us. So feel free to join.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you, panelists. Thank you, moderator. Thanks for the question. It's very important. And I think what we have today is we get lots of information from different perspectives, the members, the technical experts, MSPs, the CAP, and everything. And who's the best to get everything together and put it and tie it together? I would like to invite Mr. Vimal Mahendra to give us what is the take and how this can all work together on that. Thank you. Take a picture. Thank you very much for you and everybody. Thanks, Mr. Vimal. The stage is yours.
Yeah, that was great.
Just a big applause for Mr. Vimal is here again, please.
Thank you very much. I think the two panel discussions and the presentation by Dr. Rajiv, I think were absolutely brilliant. Lot of information. I have about 4.5 minutes to do the whole summary for all this wonderful content. I have about 5 pages, so this is going to be a speed. Thank you. Okay. First of all, Jim, I think you sounded more like Captain Kirk on the Starship Enterprise, charting new path and encouraging everyone, okay, join me in this journey. But I think you put it very aptly. we can shape the future, but we all have to get on the ship to do it. I think that was a great foundation on which the next panel came on. And let me go through my notes. The next was a panel discussion where we were discussing about many things, including the digital future. There was a conversation around what can be done and what are the key points to take forward. And a lot of points coming up on how to really make standards deliver value. It was about smart, about what smart really means. I can do 16 plus 17, but I'm disappointed that Uni would not think of me as smart. So, but that also tells us that smart means a lot of things. But the key to real smart implementation is taking everybody along. And I think that point came out through all the speakers, and Thomas summed it up very well, making sure that everyone sees value in this. Then Dr. Rajiv, I think you and I need to have longer conversations. I'm the chair of the systems committee for LVDC, and it was music to my ears when you were talking about DC. The good thing is that IEC is already addressing end-to-end DC standardization. We were always having an HVDC committee, TC115. There is the system committee, LVDC, which is now empowered to write standards as a pilot on the low voltage side. MVDC was missing, and this time in New Delhi, it is historic that SMB has also approved the setting up of a medium voltage DC also. So end-to-end DC standardization, and you brought it out very aptly, that the loads are going DC, the generation is going DC. Now how do we connect them effectively across? And so system level standardizations that are required, I think that came out beautifully. The last panel discussion and the presentation before that from Damien, REQIF, I think, remember this, I think from Germany and France there is a strong push for this. It is part of the digital world that we are moving toward. Looking forward to further development and how you can begin to bring it to a global solution and move from a pilot to mainstream. The last conversation was very good, and I think Rajneesh summed it up very well, which was to say, be a standards maker, not a standards taker. I think that puts it simply but straight. At the heart of the conversation was also that the industry is very important, that we need to get the industry engaged. My personal view on this, having been on the other side of this, I think the question we need to ask is, what is it that the CEO wants and what do we need to tell the CEO? We from IEC community, how do we engage with the CEOs so that CEOs think of standardization and as another tool in their so many tools for developing their businesses and their work for the future? So it's not just about innovation and R&D, it's not just about putting more money into it or salesmen or another manufacturing plant, but also thinking of standards as a tool or as an arrow in their quiver, which can be used for furthering the cause of the company or the business. I think that would be really interesting. Last but not the least, I have to thank a lot of you for the wonderful week of the IEC GM. I'm taking the liberty of first thanking the Indian National Committee, which has a lot of members here. I don't remember all the names, but I want to especially thank Rajneesh, the Secretary of the Indian National Committee. Just wave to everyone. I think over the last 2 months, you must have had hardly 2 or 3 hours of sleep per day, because at all times of the day, he would, and night, he would wake up, receive messages, reply to messages, and work with national committees all over the world, right from visas to arrangements to this venue. He's been doing everything, and he has a wonderful team. So the whole staff of BIS, They've done an amazing job of putting this thing together. A round of applause for you. The various vendors who have helped with making this IEC-GM what it has become. Also the venue authorities in Bharat Mandapam. What a beautiful modern venue this has been. The halls were fantastic, the facilities were excellent. The India Habitat Center, where there were a lot of meetings, and the India International Center. Rajneesh, please convey to all of them our collective thanks. A round of applause for all of them. I also want to specially thank the chefs who were here. I don't know how they managed the absolutely delicious meals every day and a different menu. So this shows you their skill set. So a round of applause for the chefs who prepared the fantastic meals for us. Last but not the least, thanks to all of you from overseas who came here to take the time and effort to come to India. There are two phrases that I want to share. Both are from Sanskrit. The first one Philip also mentioned in his speech, which is Vasudev Kutumbakam, which is the world is one family. We are all actually one family. And nothing like standards to showcase this. That's how international standards are developed, used, proliferated, and they create value in society. The second one is Atithi Dev Bhava. This means really, and you have seen this happening this time, the guest is God. This is an ancient Indian phrase which actually sums up the spirit with which BIS and the whole team has welcomed you. I think a round of applause for the spirit with which they've all worked. Thank you very much. If I forgot to thank anyone, it's my mistake because I also want to run over to the farewell party.
But
So,
before that,
thank you
Mr. Vimal, well, the world is a one family, and I would like to thank everybody and Mr. Vimal on that.
Thank you.
And as proposed by BIS and our hosting committee, we would like to invite all the speakers and all the panelists who was part with us here for a photo, and also to show the appreciation by BIS. I would like to invite Mr. Pravin Khanna to the stage, a Deputy Director General for BIS, in order to show the appreciation for the speakers and the panelists. Please, Mr. Pravin. Please, with the picture. So. You need a bit to squeeze. Just, yeah. And maybe to have it 2 lines. Yeah, you can to have. What beautiful. Thank you very much for everybody. And Mr. Pravin would like, I don't know if you have mic, but Mr. Pravin would like to give small thanks for all the panelists and for all the speakers. Here, ladies, please. Okay. Back applause. A big applause for. Are we done? Everybody? Okay, so thank you. Thank you very much for everybody. No. Thank you very much. Well, thank you very much for the amazing host, and thank you for the amazing event. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you. What's a beautiful ending of the general meeting of IEC 2025. Thank you for everybody here and who contribute, and enjoy the farewell and enjoy the ending. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Somebody told us that IEC people in panic that there's some flooding in New Delhi or something. So I thought maybe you would not come. And